Hey guys, my name is Anthony and in today's video I'm going to be commentating over WOR Season 10 Round 3 at Zandvoort. So if you want to see more league racing content from myself on this channel, make sure to hit that like button and let's get straight into this one and see if we can finally score some points, because the first two rounds didn't really go that well for us, to be honest with you. The first round we ended up getting wing damage from a battle that was happening between two people on lap 11, which really frustrated me because I didn't understand why they were battling as hard as they were during those sort of laps, because really and truly it's not going to really mean anything. And then I didn't actually race at Bahrain because the day that I was scheduled to race at Bahrain was the day after I got the COVID vaccine, so I wasn't able to take part because obviously I was feeling really under the weather at that point. So moving on to this one, I really wanted to, you know, score some points for the team, score some points for myself and really get the championship moving forward, because we're already quite a lot of points behind. But as you can see, we're already on our first lap, our banker lap, and this was actually our quickest lap of the session, and you guys will see why later on in the video as we move forward through qualifying. But yeah, this banker lap was actually the quickest lap that we set, as F1 Cesala ends up going pole at the moment with the quickest banker lap over 1 minute 8.5. And yeah, going into this in terms of quali, I definitely felt as if I had the pace. My PB going into this was a 0.2, so a 1 minute 8.2. So I definitely thought that if we can at least get close to that, then we would definitely be in the top 3. So as we cross the line here, we actually do a 1 minute 8.6. So that was a really good banker from us. It puts us in P2 at the moment. But moving on to our next laps now, this is where things started to go downhill a little bit. We lost a lot of time on this second lap, so I was really trying to push the car to try and gain some of that time back. As you can see on the exit of that corner, we just go wide, and once you go wide there, that's pretty much the lap completely finished. So then moving on to our final flying lap now, and yeah, let's see exactly what ended up going wrong with this lap. So as we come up to turn 1, braking just off the 100 meter board, definitely could have gained a lot more time there. I was very cautious going through there, and I was very cautious coming through here as well. I definitely feel as if in this section alone we've lost a tenth and a half at least, so we could have definitely been, you know, around about 2 tenths up at this point. And then coming up to this section, honestly, I should have stayed in 7th and then shifted down to 6th, because that would have been a lot quicker than shifting down to 7th. As you'll see in the race, we end up losing quite a bit of time when we actually shift from 8th to 7th. But yeah, coming through Sector 2, this was another section that I felt as if we could have gained a lot of time, and we just didn't. So yeah, at this point, this lap was pretty much a bust, but as you can see, we're still going a fraction quicker, so I still wanted to complete this lap so that we ended up starting the race on this set and not the set that we did at our banker lap on. But as you can see, coming up to the final corner, Callum G is about to start his lap, and yeah, we just get a boatload of understeer because his car is right there, and that's pretty much the lap finished, which means that we're going to be starting on the tyres that we did our banker lap on. And I was really worried because I thought that a lot of people were going to improve, and a few people did. So we were P4 when we retired, but we ended up moving down to P6, which wasn't ideal. If I had managed to put in a solid lap, then I definitely could have think we would have started in the top 3 and our race would have been completely different. However, the points are won in the race, so we really needed to just focus on the race and actually focus on trying to get in positions here. So as you can see, we're going to be using the soft to hard strategy for this race, and I wasn't exactly sure what sort of fuel, how much fuel to really use in this one. However, in hindsight, I should have definitely put less fuel in the car, because you can really save a lot of fuel at this track, because you're going to be running in lane quite a lot, because it's very difficult to actually overtake at this track. So as we've got 5 red lights to start the race, and away we go, and we got an okay start. Phase 2 wasn't really that great. As you can see, Ewan's going down our inside going into the first turn, and I've got another car on my outside as well of Callum G, so I had to be careful of him. And as we come up to turn 3 now, I just got it wrong, and we ended up going wide and losing quite a lot of time there, and Ewan is actually going to try and overtake us, and I was trying to fight the position because I wanted to stay in front of Ewan, but Librio, who was in front of us, he had a horrible turn through that left-hander, which meant that we had to slow down, and Ewan actually gained the position on us. However, we gained the position on him, so realistically we haven't actually lost any positions. As you can see, the VSC has come out, and at the end of lap 1, that's when the VSC ends, and as usual, we get the worst restart on a VSC VSC. I don't know what it is when it comes to safety cars, but we just tend to get such bad restarts. I don't know what it is. I really need to practice my VSC restarts. But yeah, Haas behind us actually tried to overtake us going into turn 1. But he had a penalty, and I just felt as if we were behind him, then we definitely were going to be held up. So I wanted to try and keep up with Ewan, because I felt that Ewan was going to be able to keep up with the guys ahead. And as I said, this track is so difficult to overtake. I don't know if you guys watched Tiro Limitless live when he did this race, but I mean, it really just shows how difficult it is to overtake at this track. I don't know how it's going to be in real life, because we've still not raced here in real life yet. But yeah, I can imagine it's just going to be as difficult to overtake in real life, which means it's not really going to be that entertaining. You're just going to get a lot of DRS trains, to be honest with you. Especially in this game, you're going to get a lot of DRS trains, and potentially in real life, you might get a few trains going on as well. But as we come up to the end of lap 2 now, the goal is to just really stick with Ewan, because I felt as if he could stick with Caesar, and if not, then maybe we could try and make the overtake work so that we can stick with Caesar, because I definitely thought at the time that I definitely had the pace to be able to keep up with the front runners. So yeah, at this point it's really just about sticking with Ewan, and as you can see, Caesar made a mistake. So at that point I was thinking to myself, okay, if Caesar ends up losing the DRS to Humperdinck, who's ahead of him, I believe, or maybe it's Sazala who's ahead of him, then that means that Ewan could really get the opportunity to overtake him, which means that we could get the opportunity to overtake Caesar as well, which is exactly what I want. I want to try and get up the field as quickly as possible. If we can get ourselves up the field during this soft stint, then it's really going to benefit us when we actually move on to the hard stint. However, things didn't actually end up going the way that we had planned. Ewan actually couldn't keep up with the guys ahead, and Caesar, Humperdinck, Sazala and Rosie ended up going down the road, and we were losing time because we were being held up by Ewan, and we just couldn't get past him. But on lap 9, Ewan ends up going into the pits, and at this point I knew I'm going to have to cover this undercut, and I've got a lot of ERS from the fact that I was behind Ewan for so long. So this lap we really need to use our ERS, and I don't know if you guys are new to league racing or if you've been league racing for a while, but when it comes to ERS management on this game, you definitely want to be using your ERS on your in-lap if you're going for the overcut, because you do save a little bit of ERS in the pits. So if you're using your ERS, it means you're going to be quicker in your in-lap, which means you can potentially make the overcut work. And especially at a track like Zandvoort as well, usually you'll get tracks like Silverstone that have really slow and agonizing pit lanes. However, the pit lane here at Zandvoort is actually quite quick in terms of the kilometers per hour you use when you actually go into the pits, and just how long the pit lane itself actually is. It's a very short pit lane, so you can definitely make the overcut work if you're quick enough on your in-lap, and that's why we were using a lot of our ERS, because we knew we were going to be able to save our ERS once we actually got into the pit. So as we come up to the final corner, it's actually been a pretty good in-lap. As you can see, we actually went green in sector 2, which is promising, which means we could potentially make this overcut work. So we slowed the car down nicely, and we go in for the hard compound of tyres, and luckily for us, we didn't get held by Callum G behind us. We were so close. If Callum was literally just a second slower compared to us, we would have been held, which means we wouldn't have made the overcut work, which is exactly what we ended up doing. We had a really good in-lap, and I'm not sure if Ewan maybe got held up or something like that, but he didn't have the greatest of outlaps, which means that we managed to make the overcut work, and now we're on the hard stint. So really and truly, this is where the sort of strategic battles really start going into play here. Do I save my tyres so that I can really be quick towards the end of the race? Do I push now so that I can try and get outside of Ewan's DRS? It's really just a battle of, you know, figuring out what you want to do and what you feel is the right thing to do. And we thought that we could get outside of the DRS of Ewan, and we actually did. However, we ended up letting Callum G back in our DRS zone once he actually got past Ewan, and as you can see, Caesar is in the DRS of Humperdinck, which means as long as he's in the DRS of Humperdinck, he's just going to keep pulling away, and there's not really much that we can do because we don't have the DRS to anybody else. So we're really the car that's dragging everybody else along. So basically everyone behind us is as quick as we are, really. But as we come up to lap 17 now, you can see that Callum is actually, he was looking to go on the outside, but then he switches to the inside, and I wasn't really expecting that. So he ended up getting the move quite easily because I wasn't expecting him to actually fake the outside and then go back to the inside. I thought he was going to try and overtake me on the outside because you actually get more momentum on the outside if you overtake there. So yeah, definitely a nice move from Callum. I wasn't expecting it, but now we've just got to stick in his DRS. If we lose the DRS to Callum, then I definitely think that it's going to spell trouble for us if we actually want to have a good position in this race. And as you can see, Cesala behind us, he was rapid on the hard tires, and I don't know what it was. Maybe his setup was maybe more suited for the hard tires, but he was rapid. And as we come up to lap 20 now, coming up to the corner just before the end of sector 2, you can see Cesala goes to the inside, and yeah, I felt as if I left him enough room here. A lot of people agree with me that they felt as if I left him enough room. However, the commentators didn't think that. Luckily for us, Cesala also seemed to have thought that maybe his move was a little bit ambitious, and we did leave him enough room because he chopped it down to a racing incident himself, and he didn't actually end up reporting it. But maybe you guys can let me know in the comment section what you think. Did I leave him enough space? Did I not leave him enough space? I'm not entirely sure. I felt as if I did, especially considering that he made the move so surprisingly. But you never know with these things. Maybe it was just me being a little bit biased towards myself, and maybe I didn't actually leave him enough room. So yeah, just let me know in the comments what you guys think of that incident. Do you think I left him enough room, or do you think I closed it in a bit too aggressively on him there? But either way, we didn't get a penalty from that situation. Nothing really happened because, as I said, Cesala thought it was a racing incident himself, and he didn't actually end up reporting it. So yeah, at this point in time, I just wanted to focus on keeping up with Callum G. Now is crunch time. I really want to try and get a good position, because if he didn't actually thought it was a racing incident and he actually did decide to report it to the stewards and we did end up getting a penalty, I wanted to try and minimize that damage basically that we end up getting after the race as much as possible. So as we move on to lap 33, because nothing really happened between the incident and lap 33, yeah, we're still behind Callum G, and as you can see, Caesar, because of the DRS of the other two ahead of him, they are so far up the road. They're like a 7.5 seconds ahead now. And yeah, I really need to get past Callum G here, because the best position that we're going to be getting at this point is 4th. And I didn't actually know that Callum had under 10% ERS as we actually go around the outside here. We finally make the move after, I believe, 14 laps, which is a long time to be behind somebody. But I didn't actually notice that he had less than 10% of ERS, because I didn't notice his red light flashing, which means we could have passed him quite a while ago, which means we could have potentially made some room on Caesar and potentially have capitalized on anything that happened. But sadly we didn't notice. We ended up overtaking him at lap 34, and now the best position that we're going to get is P4, so we've really got to think about saving our ERS and really defending this position. And yeah, that's pretty much exactly what we do. You can see that I'm not using my ERS because at this section of the track, this DRS zone, even though it's here, you pretty much need to be on the person in front's gearbox in order to actually overtake him here. So I was really just saving my ERS for the start finish line straight, because that is the main place on this track where you can actually overtake somebody. So yeah, as we come up to the final corner now, you can see we've got a little bit of ERS to play with just in case. However, Callum G is about over half a second behind us as we check our tire wear, and we've got 67%, so we've done a decent job with managing our tires. And yeah, he didn't actually end up trying to go for any sort of moves. He was too far behind to actually go for a move on lap 35. So now I really just need to think about getting the best exits that I can off of corners and really think about saving my ERS for this exact moment. This is the final time that we will be on the start finish line straight where he can actually overtake me unless he's on my gearbox. So yeah, we're using our overtake, and Callum, he's just not got enough space really. He's not got enough track to really overtake us. Going into turn 1, we managed to keep it, which means at this point in time we're pretty much guaranteed a P4 unless we end up making a big mistake. So let's see if we actually do make a mistake, or if we manage to actually drive under the pressure and keep our P4 here. So yeah, this corner, as I said before, we definitely should have in qualifying shifted down to 6th gear, because we would have made up a lot more time, I feel, compared to 7th gear, because you just don't really get the speed coming out that corner when you stay in 7th gear. But coming up to this DRS zone now, yeah, Callum's not going to overtake us here. He's almost a second behind us, and even though we don't get the best exit from that corner, as I said before, you pretty much need to be on the person's gearbox in order to overtake them in this section here. So as long as we get a decent exit off of the final corner, then we are going to finish in P4 as we come up to the final corner, not cross the line, as Rosie actually crosses the line. He ends up winning, and Rosie ended up actually being promoted to tier 1. So as I said before, guys, when it comes to these tiers, a lot of the time you've got people racing in tiers that they really shouldn't be in. Maybe it's just a case of circumstance as we actually crossed the line and finished P4, so we did manage to keep the P4 position.
I'll submit my...
As I was saying, you know, a lot of the time it's due to people not really being able to race on the exact day that the tier that they should be in is racing on. And this is just a case with Rosie, as you can see. He was in tier 4 and he got moved up to tier 1 very, very quickly. But yeah, this was a pretty fun race. Obviously, the incident with Cesala is up to you guys to debate. He didn't end up reporting it, so luckily we managed to keep this position. But I definitely feel as if I left him enough space in that situation.
No, it was
but
McLaren.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just biased because it was a situation that happened to me. But yeah, that's where this video is going to end. I hope that you did enjoy it. If you did, then make sure to leave a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more league racing content that will be happening towards the end of the game as we get ready for F1 2021. And I hope to see you guys soon in my next video.